Napa guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is zero, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 400,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. She may not be pretty, but she's all yours. That's Napa know-how.
Blog Talk Radio.
What time is it? All time! What time is it? All time!
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter Podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and as always, I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert. And England's adopted son, Joe Habib, will be here later on in the show. And as always, you can catch us on www.ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call and ask questions tonight or just give your 2 cents, you can call us right now at 323-870-3857. Today we're going to talk about Adrian Broner supporting Donald Trump. How's that for a ringing endorsement? Shane Mosley is now a hero. He saved a baby in the car accident. There was apparently a pileup in California. He took the baby out of there, took him to the hospital. Wait till you hear this story. It's unreal. Our train wreck of the week this week involves 50 Cent, and it takes place right here in the Queen City of Cincinnati, kind of. But first, we start with the biggest fight of the year so far, Canelo Alvarez versus Amir Khan. Let's start with this one, man. I tell you, Khan looked great for the first 2 rounds of this fight. I thought that he did very well with his movement. I thought he did very well with combinations early going. The third round seemed like Canelo put a little bit more pressure on Khan, and Khan's, he actually started catching Khan with some body shots, I thought. So
yes, he did, Eric. And I scored the first 2 rounds for Amir Khan, but the third round, it seemed like Canelo made adjustments and started going to Khan's body and kind of took things over from there.
I thought those first 2 rounds were just brilliant from Amir Khan. I mean, he caught him within just a minute of that first, I guess, of the opening round. He caught him with a picture-perfect right hand. He caught Canelo with a picture-perfect right hand, just a combination. It's beautiful stuff. And he kept throwing in combinations throughout the fight, or throughout the first 2 rounds. But in that third round, now I still gave Khan that third round. I gave him a 3-0 lead going into that fourth round. But you got the sense that Canelo was starting to catch him. He was starting to get his timing, and Khan looked like he was tiring. The tide really turned in the fourth round as Khan was noticeably starting to slow down. Canelo still landing jabs and going to the body. So it was in the fourth round. I tell you what, in the fourth round, it was really starting to turn in Khan's favor. And I think the extra weight, the harder shots, seem to be adding up against Khan, man. I thought Canelo won rounds 4 and 5. What did you think?
Well, I gave Canelo 3, 4, and 5 because I thought in the third round things were starting to turn in Canelo's favor. Man, if Amir Khan could have kept up the first 2 rounds throughout the fight, I'm telling you, the decision would have been very interesting because, again, Canelo showed what kind of fighters he can handle and what kind of fighters would give him issues. And, I don't know if anybody in the future is going to have the kind of hand speed that Amir Khan had to go up against Canelo. But, again, you saw a few chinks in Canelo's armor, but I give Amir Khan tremendous props for even having the guts to accept this fight and taking this fight and knowing, and he even said, hey, I'm the underdog, but I'm going to give it the best I got, and that's exactly what he did.
I think so, too. I tell you, I thought that, I thought he tired. I mean, did you get the sense in the 4th and 5th round he was tiring?
Yes, and that made it even easier for Canelo.
Yeah, in the 6th round, it was more of the same. Canelo landed some body shots. Khan just, again, wasn't moving as much. And then Canelo feinted with that left hook and threw a picture-perfect overhand right that clipped Khan right on the chin. Khan was out cold before he hit the canvas. I mean, he was out. As soon as he got hit, he was out. And the time was 2:37 of that 6th round.
And I'm very thankful that Amir Khan is up and walking and able to talk and sounded normal, because when his head hit the canvas, I thought, oh, my God, what are we in for here? You know?
Yeah, right.
Did you guys think that he was tiring because of the body shots, or do you think he was tiring just because he was throwing so many punches early on? Because I thought for the first 4 rounds he was pretty much in control. And then in the 5th round, that's when I saw him kind of tire a little bit, and I think the body shots really weren't being thrown with effectiveness, or basically a sustained attack with the body shots. I don't think that was happening until later in the 3rd round and going into the 4th round. So how much body work was Canelo really able to inflict on Khan, to make him tired? So it could have been a combination of both.
Well, and not only that, go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I thought the extra, I said it on last week's show. I thought the extra weight, the extra muscle, and carrying that weight around. His actual weight is at 147. He's going to carry that extra weight around. I mean, he's popping up to theoretically 160 for the middleweight title. He's at 155. And again, he came in heavy on the scale. I mean, I expected him to come in. He should have came in right around, 150, somewhere around there to get lean. But, based on all his weight training and everything like that, everything that was going on, he came in at 155, exactly the same weight as Canelo. And I thought the extra weight really hurt him in this fight because, you're not used to carrying that extra weight, and it makes a difference in the fight.
Did you think it slowed him down at all, though? Because he seemed really fast.
No. Well, here's the deal. I think you're going to be fast, and when you got that extra weight, when you're carrying that extra weight, what happens is you're going to be really fast for a time. And then as the fight goes on, that weight starts getting on you. You know what I mean? That weight starts pressing on you. Not to mention you got a big guy, a big 175-pound guy, throwing shots at your body, leaning on you, and you got to keep this guy off you. He started putting more pressure on him in the second, Canelo did, and that's not an easy thing either, man.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Do you think that this was more of a case of big man beats little man, or do you think that Canelo actually used brains instead of brawn in this fight, because he faked him out of his socks with that feint? It looked to me like he was dropping down a little bit. He was trying to sell him with the right hand to the body, and then Khan dropped his left hand to try to protect that. And then at the last minute, he decided, okay, I'm going to go over the top with a left hook over that body shot, and that's where I think he got caught, because he was anticipating a body shot instead of the punch to the head. So I thought that was a crafty move by Canelo.
I think it was a combination of both. I think he used his size against Khan, but I also think he used his intelligence and he actually showed me a lot in this fight. But again, I also see future weaknesses through future opponents. But the problem is, are there any opponents out there that are going to be able to take advantage of those weaknesses? Because I think Amir Khan has the fastest hands in boxing these days. And I don't know if anybody in the higher weights, 154, 160, wherever Canelo decides to fight, has that capability of taking advantage of those weaknesses.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I tell you, Khan looked great for the first couple of rounds here, and just kind of like he looked in the Danny Garcia fight. He looked great for the first couple of rounds, and then he slowed down. And, I don't know if it was, like I said, it was the extra weight. I don't know if it was I don't know, that's my best guess, because I've seen it happen in other places too. But, Canelo did a great job. Don't get me wrong. Canelo did a great job. Man, I mean, if Khan could have kept up what he was doing in the first 2 rounds, wow.
And the one thing that nobody's considering here is Khan was out of the ring for 344 days. If you're going to fight a guy like Canelo, you have to be more active. That's why everybody wants to see the Triple G Canelo fight, because Golovkin is not one to be inactive. Are you kidding? He wants a fight scheduled as soon as possible because he still holds he still wants to fight 3 or 4 times a year. And I think had Khan been able to take a couple of maybe a fight between the Canelo fight, he might have looked even better. I think the layoff really hurt him in this.
Well, let me ask you guys this, though. Obviously, people are saying now after the fact, hey, this is exactly what I expected to happen. But did you guys really expect this to happen? Like, when you were watching this fight, and you saw rounds 1, 2, and 3 go by, were you saying to yourself, hey, maybe Khan could pull this off? Because a lot of people that were picking Canelo to knock Khan out, they were thinking that he would kind of walk him down a little bit, overpower him, wear him down. But this was a crafty, tricky, slick move, and that's how I thought he got the knockout. I didn't think this was more or less of Canelo imposing his will on Khan. I thought he just faked him out of his soft, as I said. What were your guys' thoughts while you were watching this fight in the beginning?
I tell you, when for the first 2 rounds, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I couldn't believe that he was that fast, that much faster. I couldn't believe he was boxing that much better, moving like he was and trying to walk this guy, and as we watch Canelo, really pensive. And I'll tell you what, the thing that Amir Khan did really well is he wasn't throwing, pity-pat punches. He was putting in shots, and he stunned Canelo a couple of times. I don't know if he heard him, but he definitely got his attention a couple of times with those shots, especially those right hands. The combinations from Khan were brilliant, but I did feel in the 3rd round that the tide kind of started to shift. Now, I still gave Khan that 3rd round, but in the 4th round, for sure, I thought that Khan gave that round away, and in the 5th round, for sure, you could sense it at that point. There was, even if this went to a decision, I felt that Canelo had the fight firm in hand. There was no way at that point, once the 5th round hit, there was no way Khan was going to win this fight. Because even if it went to a decision, he wasn't going to win that fight.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit now. Because I don't know if you were aware of the scorecards. I'm sure you were. That one judge had Canelo winning 4-1. The other 2 judges had Canelo winning 3-2. So, Eric, you made a statement. You texted me the other after the fight. You said there was no way Khan was going to get a decision. And then I texted you back, hey, we'll never know. But it turns out, going by what I was, watching with those scorecards, that you probably would have been right. I mean, this is a question I have for you guys, and this is a great question. If Canelo does fight Golovkin, and Canelo is able to finish that fight on his feet, even if Triple G outboxes him or wins the fight, will he get the decision? Because it looks like these sons are favoring this Canelo style. I hate to be the conspiracy theorist and be the hater because I'm not trying to be that, but let's look. I mean, 4-1? Is that? I mean, can you really agree with that? Wow.
I thought the scores. I thought the one judge had it the same as me. I had it 3-2 in favor of Khan going into the 6th round, and I thought one judge had it in favor of Khan, one had it in favor of Canelo 3-2, and the other judge, I don't know what he was watching. He had it 4-1. How, Robbie? Can you justify 4-1 for Canelo?
In a word, no. I'm legally blind, and I can judge better than that. I mean, come on. I had, going into the 6th round, I had Canelo up 3-2. That because I gave Khan the first 2 rounds, and I gave Canelo 3, 4, and 5. And this is what worries me about the sport that we love, and we're doing a show on each and every week. Sometimes I get the feeling that judges are told, or they go in with preconceived notions, and they just fill out their scorecards accordingly. It's almost like upsets in boxing are not allowed to happen anymore. I don't know how in the hell you could see this 4-1 for Canelo. Canelo, when he took over the fight, it was clear that he took it over. But 4-1, are you serious? Give me a break.
Yeah, I couldn't. And people were making the argument that he won the first round. How on earth do you think he won that first round? I don't understand that.
No, Amir Khan won the first 2 rounds, and anybody thinks that Canelo won one of the first 2, they're nuts.
Yeah,
they don't know anything.
That's
they
what
don't
I
know.
thought too.
They don't know anything about boxing. I mean, I picked Canelo, but it was clear to me that Amir King Kong won the first 2 rounds. There was no doubt about that.
Right, none at all. That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Like I said, man, the judging on this was, and I mean, back to Beeb's point. I mean, here's the deal. I mean, if he does finish a fight on his feet with Triple G, no, I don't think. I think that fight is just lopsided. I don't think that he's going to have anything for Triple G, man. I mean, but honestly though, Canelo hits anybody like he hit Khan, they're going to go. I mean, there's no question about that.
And keep one thing in mind. Triple G is a better actual boxer than people give him credit for. The perfect example of that, go back and watch the William Monroe fight. I mean, he cut the ring off so well against a guy because remember, before that fight, Eric, we talked on our show about, how's Triple G going to deal with William Monroe? He's such a slick boxer. Well, what he did is he showed he can handle a boxer like that. So, no, I think Triple G and Canelo is going to turn out to be a fascinating fight. And Canelo, in my opinion, is going to have that. In order for him to beat Triple G, unless there's some sick judging like we just discussed, he's going to have the fight of his life.
323-870-3857. If you want to call or ask questions, you can hit. I think it's option 1 to talk to us. I'm not 100% sure.
You got to hit. You got to hit the number. You got to hit the number 1 if you want to talk. Otherwise, we don't know that you're there.
There you go. But back to the fight again. I tell you, I thought that, like I said, I mean, Canelo looked really good imposing his will. I thought Canelo did a good job in the fight. But hats off to Khan, man. I mean, for even taking this fight. I mean, he knew the risk, and he was going in there with a bigger guy. But yeah, a lot of respect for Khan because he did very well in that fight. He's got nothing to hang his head over. Put it that way. Let's talk about after the fight. Canelo, of course, calls out Triple G. He's in front of the Mexican crowd. Now, I'm reading from a lot of different sources that he's losing a lot of fan base for not fighting Triple G in the first place, which is why I believe he called him out after the fight. What did you guys think of that, and do you think that fight will happen next?
Well, I think if he does not fight Triple G, and I've said this before on the show, Eric, that Mexican people are going to totally disown him. They're going to think he's a coward, because no other Mexican fighter has ever put business ahead of a fight. You never saw Julio Cesar Chavez duck a fight. I don't remember Oscar de la Hoya ever ducking a fight. I think the Latino community would be up in arms if Canelo doesn't fight Triple G next. And remember, May 22nd is the deadline for Canelo and Triple G to have an agreement in place. Otherwise, the title will be stripped and it'll belong to Golovkin. So, no, I do think Canelo is going to be forced to fight that fight, or he's never going to have the respect of the Mexican population. Joe, what do you think?
I don't know about that, Robbie. That crowd was really into Canelo last night. He seems like he's got a loyal fan base. And let me tell you this. Let's look at the Sergio Martinez, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. situation, and look how long that played out before they actually got in the ring. And then they made Sergio Martinez the diamond belt holder. Well, I saw a white WBC belt in the ring that night too. It wasn't just the green belt. And I saw it, during the press conferences as well. So what was that? Was that the platinum belt? Was that the presidential Rolex WBC belt? Are they going to make the presidential Rolex WBC platinum champion? And then they're going to kind of give Triple G the interim title or something? What are they going to do? Because you can't really believe anything that this sanctioning body says. That
no.
People have been communicating with them on Twitter, and I'm reading the timelines. And they're saying that it's up to the fighters to make the fight happen. We can't negotiate the contracts, but they can do this. They can make a rule that states if you're going to fight for our title, that no fighter has the right to impose a catch weight in a title bout. That's something the sanctioning bodies can do and should do. And I don't think this Triple G fight's going to happen. I got a feeling Canelo's going to fight either David Lemieux or Curtis Stevens next. I don't see this fight happening next. And the funny thing about this is history repeating itself. You can sit there and say who's wrong, who's right, but Hopkins had all 3 belts. He was considered the best middleweight in the world when he was champion. De La Hoya had the WBO belt. De La Hoya asked him, hey, come down to 157. So they had a 157-pound catch weight. So whether you like the catch weight or not, if Triple G really wants this fight, he's going to have to make concessions. I really think he's going to have to make concessions, whether it's fair or not. Other fighters have done it. Sergio Martinez, he fought Paul Williams at 157-pound catch weight. And, when Sergio Martinez won his title, he fought Pavlik at the middleweight limit. But Sergio Martinez fought Cotto at a catch weight, so this is nothing new in boxing. I mean, even the great Sugar Ray Leonard forced Daniel on to defend his WBC light heavyweight title and come all the way down to 168. So, Triple G, I understand his point, but if he really wants to fight, he's going to have to make concessions.
Right.
Well, no, I think concessions are going to have to be made, unfortunately. I hate catch weights, but I know I've been following boxing long enough to know that they're not going away, even though I don't like them. But I do hope that fight is next. And don't forget about the gorilla in the room. Don't be surprised if Canelo's next fight, if he does not fight Triple G, don't be surprised if there's a rematch against Miguel Cotto. So keep that in mind.
Oscar came out today and said the Miguel Cotto fight is off the table. So they have no interest in Miguel Cotto.
Good.
All right. So we're talking Canelo-Khan here. Let's go to the phones. 619. You are live on Ringside Reporter.
Hi, guys. Hi, Eric, Joe, Robbie. How are you guys?
Hey, what's
good? How are you?
How are you? Who is this?
Good. My name is Lorenzo. I'm calling from Tijuana. First of all, I want to thank you guys for accepting my call, and also I want to congratulate you guys from the show. I know this is the first show like that actually people can call and everything. I've been talking with Joe on Facebook. And I really wanted to give a call and give a little bit of my opinion on what happened last night.
Sure, absolutely.
It's all yours. Go ahead.
Thank you. All right. Well, first of all, I want to say, the fight was good for what it was. I've been watching boxing since 2000. However, before that, I kind of got up to date with YouTube and everything. I watched all the classics. But I think from 2000 to now, it's been already 16 years, and I think I feel a little blessed that I have a chance to watch very good fights live. And basing on all those amount of years, I think I got a lot of experience with the fact of seeing how boxing is really. Basically what it means to move up from a weight class to another one. And I feel that right now, the fact that we have so many fighters jumping from one class to the other, it kind of devaluates fighters in the past that actually move up in weight, and it kind of devaluates the fact that, size matters. So in this case, I definitely give Amir Khan props for doing what he did. However, I feel that right now everybody's giving him too much credit, and they're taking a lot of credit out of Canelo. Just for the fact that, he was so ballsy on moving up on weight and everything. But, I feel that he played a really good game. I feel like he saw the opportunity of getting a really big paycheck. I think he saw the opportunity of going into a fight where basically he had nothing to lose except the fight, but everything else to win. And at the end of the day, we knew what was going to happen. It's just that we are in the need of such a good fight that we try to make more than what it was. I think, if Khan would have cleaned up the welterweight division, if he would have beat the people that he needed to beat there and then would have jumped to the next class, then we would have seen something like what Pacquiao did with Oscar De La Hoya, and we would have seen more like, okay, this is a big challenge. At least that's in my opinion. I think the fight was really good. Khan looked okay on the first 2 rounds, but then after watching the whole fight, I think it was more like Canelo being patient, Canelo being a total different fighter than when people think sometimes. You know, it's not the typical Mexican fighter that's just going to go there and get a punch to go and throw one. He's more like measuring the risk, seeing the fighter, trying to do stuff to do his style. I mean, he pays himself. I don't know if you guys think the same or what is your opinion.
Now, I got a question for you. Since you're calling from Tijuana, and you know, you live there, do you think the Mexican people will turn away from Canelo if he tries to avoid Triple G?
I think they will, definitely. I mean, I think we are in a time right now where basically, you know, the media actually makes a really big impression here. So, for example, we saw it on the fight with Miguel Cotto. You know, I was there, and I saw the fight, and I saw Canelo winning. A close fight, not what they saw people in TV. However, I saw him winning, and I didn't see anybody booing. However, the people from TV Azteca that kind of called the fight, they saw him losing. And, you know, they were the people that were actually broadcasting in Mexico in open TV. So imagine everybody on Facebook in Mexico were yelling that it was a robbery, that Canelo was given the decision, that Cotto won. And I was like, you know what? I don't know what fight they saw. I didn't see him losing, and I didn't see him winning by those margins. So I think definitely what they're going to do, they're going to criticize a lot, but also at the same point, right now when Joe was saying about Chavez Jr., that's what I was actually talking to my friends yesterday. I was like, okay, let's put the brakes on a little bit. I mean, Canelo just barely got the belt, and, you know, they give him one optional defense, and, you know, it doesn't look like he's going to go and actually face Golovkin right away. But, I mean, didn't Chavez Jr. got the belt in kind of like tricky situations too, and it took him 3 fights to actually fight Martinez, and nobody said nothing. Nobody put the pressure that they're putting on Canelo right now. And didn't that happen, the same thing with Mayweather and Pacquiao? It took 5 years for that fight to be made. I mean, this fight is just basically it's been 1 fight away. I mean, easily could take another year, and then the fight could be developed. So I think everybody is jumping to conclusions and putting a lot of pressure on Canelo. And kind of like, I understand because, you know, we saw what happened with Mayweather and Pacquiao, that we wait 5 years and at the end we end up getting a fight that we didn't like. But I think they're being a little hard on Canelo. But, yeah, answering your question, Robbie, I think, yeah, people will definitely, you know, be not backing up Canelo so much if he doesn't fight Golovkin soon.
So let me ask you
jump
this.
in here.
Go ahead, Eric. Well, let me say one thing, because I think the translation was interpreted improperly, because Canelo, I thought, said, in Mexico, we don't fight for belts, we fight for honor. So that, to me, was kind of a code word, like, he doesn't care if the WBC strips him of this belt. So he's basically, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he gave me the impression that he's not concerned with this title. If he has it or not, it doesn't matter to him. So that kind of says to me that maybe he'll willingly give this title up and not be dictated to who he's going to fight next. Is that a fair statement? Or?
No, I think that's what's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I mean, let's see something too here. I mean, I don't know if you guys think the same, but I mean, let's remember that Canelo was chasing Cotto from long way before than when he won the middleweight championship. I mean, he was not chasing the middleweight belt. He was chasing Miguel Cotto because he needed that name to actually put the credibility on his resume. He needed to beat Cotto. He was actually chasing Cotto since he was in 154. So I think that for Canelo's bad luck, everything happened when Cotto beat Martinez, because now he kind of like inherits the full year that Cotto kidnapped the middleweight belt, inherit all those haters, and inherit the middleweight belt with Golovkin as the interim champion. So everything now is accelerated, and people are frustrated because they want to see Golovkin, I guess, unify the whole division. So now it kind of like took Canelo time for him to develop more on the middleweight by getting that belt. I think it was more than being I don't know, like a bless for him to win that title. It was more like a curse because now he needs to face Golovkin right away, and people basically they don't have any more patience. They just want to see the fight. They want to see the fight. So I think he's gonna drop the belt. To be honest, I think he's gonna drop the belt. And what he said, I think it was like a message to Sulaiman, saying, you know what, I'm gonna drop your belt and I'm gonna keep the Golden Boy promotion belt, the Ring magazine. I don't know.
So let me ask you a question here.
Go ahead, Eric.
Now, who would you favor in that fight between Triple G and Canelo?
You know what? I think until I don't see Canelo, which this is, I mean, I'm a fan of Canelo. I've been going to all his fights, the last 5 fights. However, I didn't go to this fight because I was very pissed off when he chose Khan, because I knew that this was going to happen, and I knew that this was not going to help his legacy and his preparation for Triple G. He shouldn't pick up Khan. He should have picked somebody from the middleweight division. So I think the question for me is still going to be open, and until he fights a middleweight guy and he receives the punch of a middleweight, if he can take that punch okay, I think he has a legitimate chance of beating Golovkin. I mean, I don't know. I think he has great skills. And when you guys were talking about the fight, I think Khan was looking good on the first 2 rounds, but I think there was also Canelo letting Khan throw whatever he had to throw, adjust to his speed, and then suddenly he starts setting traps. Because if you see the way he got Khan knocked out, it was basically with a feint, the same feint that he did on Kirkland. So, I mean, you need to actually start throwing to the body in order for Khan to start dropping his hands. So basically what he did on the 3rd round, he started adjusting to the speed, he started pounding the body, so Khan started getting a little bit slower, and then he started dropping the hands. And once he got him with the left hook to the face on the 6th round, after that, he threw like a cross to the body, and you can tell that Khan was a little hurt because he was start smiling. So then is when he made the feint that he was gonna throw like a hook to the body. He dropped the hand, and boom, he got him with the right hand. So I mean, I think he has a lot of really good ring IQ, Canelo, from what people actually want to give him credit, and definitely his skills about cutting the ring and chasing guys are not gonna be the best. But to be honest, I mean, what other guys are super slick that actually are going to challenge him on those aspects? So if he can actually take the punch from Golovkin, I don't know. I think we're going to see a good fight. I don't know what you guys think.
Awesome. Well, we're going to move forward
brother.
here. Yeah, absolutely. Outstanding call. Thank you so much for calling. Make sure to call back, okay?
Thank you. Good show, and I will continue hearing the show, okay? Bye.
Thank you very much. Excellent call.
Oh, that's how to do a phone call, folks. He broke it down perfectly, and right there you got the Mexican point of view on what they feel about Canelo.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about after the fight here, and we know that he called out Triple G. Whether that fight happens or not, we'll know more here in a couple of weeks. But let me ask you guys, what did you think of Virgil Hunter's statement after the fight, where he said Canelo needs to face Triple G at 160? What does he care? I don't understand that. He sounded very bitter after the loss.
You know, I was puzzled by that whole thing because it's not like Virgil Hunter has a middleweight in his stable.
He doesn't have a dog in this fight at all. Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand what he was trying to prove there. It's not like Andre Ward is all of a sudden going to drop from light heavyweight down to middleweight to challenge anybody. I don't know. I was puzzled by that. Joe, what do you think?
Thought it was sour grapes, and I respect Virgil Hunter a lot. But the problem is, before the fight, you were saying, oh, well, this really isn't too big of a size disadvantage. I think people are going to be surprised when they see Khan next to Canelo, this and that. And then after the fight, Khan was saying that, I'm going to go back down to 147, when he was basically saying he grew out of the division and that's why he's moving to fight Canelo. So I respect Khan, I respect Virgil Hunter, but I thought that they were kind of trying to backtrack, and it's almost as if they want to see Canelo lose for some reason. I don't know why. I think they don't like the fact that he's imposing these catch weights or whatever. But that really shouldn't have anything to do with them. It's kind of crazy. because Virgil Hunter was defending Floyd Mayweather for choice of opponents.
Right.
Doing what he did. But again, obviously Floyd Mayweather put the work in early on in his career. But, this is how boxing is. Virgil Hunter knows that. Virgil Hunter knows that people will, use leverage if they have it. And he was critical of Golovkin as well. So, I mean, it's best to not just pick a side here and stay neutral if you're Virgil Hunter, because it shows a lack of professionalism as a trainer by wanting to get involved in the politics of boxing, because many times in interviews, Virgil Hunter is always the guy that tries to avoid that. And now it seems as though he's jumping into the fray here, and he was politicking last night. So that threw me for a loop. It really did.
Yeah, he just seemed very bitter after that whole thing. I mean, he seemed very bitter. I mean, because like I said, he doesn't have a dog in the fight. None of his guys are going to fight Canelo. So, I mean, Andre Ward's not going to fight him, I mean, nobody's going to fight Canelo. I mean, he just had a guy that fought Canelo. So what do you care who fights Canelo next?
I mean, what are you gonna have? What are you gonna have? Andre Berto come up and fight Canelo? Give me I couldn't understand what he was doing there.
I don't either. And a lot of people, and also too about Amir Khan's chin, man. A lot of people leading into the fight have given him static about his chin. And I got to tell you, man, look, man, that shot that Danny Garcia caught him with was flush. That shot that he got caught with last night would have knocked out anybody. If Golovkin gets caught with that shot, Golovkin will go. I mean, that shot was a picture-perfect right hand. You don't do it any better than that.
Yeah,
I don't think he's getting enough credit for his boxing ability. And Paulie Malignaggi said something very interesting yesterday, and I'm going to refute what Paulie Malignaggi said with all due respect, because he's saying that he doesn't think Canelo really has worked on getting better or worked on some of his weaknesses. But I'm gonna break that down a little bit. I'm gonna say this: Canelo's never gonna be fast on his feet. You know what I'm saying? He's never gonna be that guy who's gonna be a blur, who's gonna be able to cut the ring off against a fast fighter. He's always gonna have problems with fast fighters. But one thing that I've seen him do is he's starting to realize his weaknesses and accept his weaknesses, and he's starting to adjust and adapt his style a little bit to compensate for those weaknesses by throwing more feints. Then when he's throwing a feint, he's kind of inching up closer to his opponent and creeping up on his opponent. So to me, it seems like he's putting himself in better punching range and position, and he's starting to really get a sense for where he is in the ring and what punch to throw at the right time. And he's getting a little more craftier with his feints and a little more effective with his feints. And he's getting a little more effective with his counter punching. And he's also making a commitment to the body against these faster guys and trying to take their body away from them. So I just think that he's really understanding himself and he's maturing as a fighter, knowing who he is in the ring, and that's half the battle. That's half the battle. So he's fighting within himself, and he's really using the skills he has, and he's not going to really try to be a Mayweather, because when he fought Mayweather, he tried to out Mayweather, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Now, if you noticed in the Cotto fight, when Cotto was having success, Canelo's not really getting frustrated anymore. He's more patient, and he's kind of relaxing, and he's learning how to open up his offense and be more effective with his offense. He's using better head movement. Defensively, he's slipping shots. He's using subtle movements. He's conserving energy. So he's really learning who he is as a fighter, and he's really emphasizing on the things he can't do as opposed to the things he can't do. So in that regard, yeah, maybe he's never going to be a blur in the ring when it comes to foot speed, but he is getting better with his offense. He's getting smarter, and he's getting more patient. So I just have to be honest in that regard, with all due respect to Paulie Malignaggi. And maybe he won't beat Mayweather in a rematch, but I can say this, in my opinion, maybe the fight's an 8-4 fight now. Maybe it's even a 7-5 fight now. But I don't think it'll be an 11-1 fight like the first one was. So I think that he has gotten better as a fighter.
I think so too. He made some very good adjustments last night. And, one thing I noticed, and just going back to the fight itself and all the pageantry and everything like that, who was the announcer last night? It wasn't Contreras. Who was that?
His name was Joe Martinez.
Joe Martinez. And I know Joe's going to know the answer to this. Where in the world, because I know Joe and I know the answer to this, where in the world was Michael Buffer last night? Why on earth was he there?
He was
UK fights.
Yeah, he was in the UK.
Even the Crawler fight.
Yeah, it's the Crawler fight. They're paying him more.
Yeah.
They're paying him more.
He was last night. I was shocked. I was watching the rerun of the Anthony Crawler fight, and sure enough, he showed up there. I was like, "What in the world?" I was like, "We got Canelo-Khan going on, and he's over here in the UK announcing the Crawler fight."
Now,
seriously,
you know what that tells me. Michael Buffer knows where the real fights are. He didn't think it was going to be a good fight, so he took the money from the UK and went over there instead.
No, I completely disagree with that.
He got a bigger check.
Yeah.
I completely disagree with that. He goes where the money goes, man. It has nothing to do with the quality of the fight. I mean, they could be two street fighters. It could be Kimbo Slice out there. It doesn't matter. He's gonna go exactly where that money is. So
I find that ironic. 2 pay-per-views in a row, Michael Buffer has chosen to be in the UK. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. So what was I saw, and I know you guys saw too, we alluded to it earlier, what was the white belt? Does anybody know what that meant? What was that?
No, I have no idea.
I'm going to have to do some research on that. To be honest with you, I looked at it and I said, oh, geez, it's not another crazy belt made up by the WBC. But as soon as I saw that, I started thinking back to the Sergio Martinez, how they we gave him, they tried to pacify him by giving him a diamond belt. And then Jose Sulaiman was saying, I interviewed Jose Sulaiman. He was saying the diamond belt was better than the world title belt and this and that. But think about it. I mean, there's no rankings for the diamond belt. It's just a way of just saying, hey, Sergio Martinez, you're still a champion. You know, don't get upset. We're going to take this title away from you and give it to my godson. So that's what it is. So I mean, we saw that's what it is. So probably something like that may happen with this Canelo situation. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right. You can call in now at 323-870-3857. Press option 1 to get in the queue. Let's move on here. Let's talk about the undercard for a little bit here. Let's talk about David Lemieux and Glenn Tapia. I thought David Lemieux scored an impressive 4th-round TKO over Glenn Tapia in the co-main event. This fight was all Lemieux from the get-go, man. Lemieux was putting in power on every shot. I mean, he was really, really loading up. Lemieux finally dropped Tapia in round 4. Tapia beat the count and seemed okay, man, but Tapia's corner stepped onto the apron, stopped the fight. The time was 56 seconds into round 4. I think it was a good stoppage. I didn't see Tapia was not going to win this fight. Lemieux, I thought, would tire down the stretch with as much power as he was putting on his shots, but Tapia wasn't in a position to do anything if he did tire. So, I thought it was a good stoppage.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with the stoppage. And, it'll be interesting to see where David Lemieux goes from here because the last time we saw David Lemieux in the ring was when he fought Triple G, and we know how Triple G made David Lemieux look for 8 rounds.
Wow.
He looked the exact opposite last night. So, what does that tell you? Does that mean that Golovkin is better than people think, or is David Lemieux only able to handle certain kinds of middleweights?
Well, I think what people forget about Triple G is that he's so well schooled. I mean, he's got a good amateur pedigree. He's very good. He's a very good boxer above everything else. Everybody thinks he's a puncher and a knockout artist. He's a very good boxer, and he's got very good fundamentals. If you watch him and you break him down, he's got very good fundamentals, and that's what gets missed.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I've always said is you put Triple G above everyone else, and then when you look at everyone else underneath Triple G, basically 50-50 fights all around. I mean, I would give David Lemieux a shot against anybody outside of Triple G. I just think because of that power, and he's got above-average boxing ability too. I mean, he's got a very, very good jab, and he knows how to work his way inside, and he's just a very fluid combination puncher, and he seems to have controlled his stamina issues. He seems to be pacing himself a lot better, and he's better defensively. He'll throw a punch and move his head after he throws the punch. So he's just constantly aware. He's just constantly more aware in the ring now, and he's a little bit more responsible defensively in the ring. And to his credit, he hung in there for as long as he could against Triple G. But Triple G is just a different animal. So against anyone, I mean, I think that Lemieux would definitely have a shot against the Canelo. That would be an awesome fight. That's a 50-50 fight, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I think that's a good fight, man. Yeah, I think that's a really good fight.
I think if Canelo ends up dropping the belt, which we all think is going to happen, I think David Lemieux and Canelo would be an outstanding fight. And we could really find out in that fight if Canelo could be a true middleweight and that kind of thing, because I truly want to see Canelo take a 160-pound fight at 160 pounds, and I want to see if he can handle a real middleweight.
Right.
Well, David Lemieux is a real middleweight, so that would be
absolutely. Let's talk about the next fight on the card, Mauricio Herrera versus Frankie Gomez. To me, this was the shocker of the night, man. I didn't mind that Gomez won. I knew it could go either way. But the way Gomez just dismantled Herrera, I mean, he completely outboxed him. Herrera at no point was ever in this fight. Scores were 100-90 from all three judges. I was shocked. And like I said, I wasn't shocked that Gomez won. I was shocked at the way he won.
Me too.
You know, the one thing that shocked me, I hate to keep going back to this point, but Herrera was out of the ring for over 300 days. And I didn't realize that because I'm so used to seeing Herrera more active, and you could tell the layoff really hurt him. And at his age, he's 35 now. It's not a good idea to be out of the ring for almost a year. Unfortunately, I wonder what his future holds now because he looks so bad in this fight. And I've never been one that's been impressed with Frankie Gomez. I want to see Gomez in against somebody else to find out if he's really dedicated to this sport, or if we saw him against a guy that wasn't really prepared because he had so long a layoff. I really didn't know what to take from this. I was shocked that Herrera was dominated, because I thought Herrera would put up a better performance last night.
I thought Herrera was going to win. I thought Herrera was going to win. And let me ask you this:
I picked him to win.
Yeah, me too. But what happened? What happened to that Herrera who used the stick so effectively against Ruslan Provodnikov and Danny Garcia, who kept the fight on the outside and was really picking both of those guys apart from the outside with the long punches? What happened to that? Because to me, it looked like for some reason his timing was off. He was stepping in before throwing the jab instead of throwing the jab. He was basically taking his own jab away from himself by smothering the punch. He was stepping in too quickly and releasing the jab too late. So basically, he wasn't in a position to fully extend on it. He seems to be too intent now about going inside. He wants to be an inside fighter all of a sudden instead of sticking with what got you there, and that's fighting on the outside and being a technical boxer from the outside. That's his game.
What that indicates to me? What that indicates to me when somebody starts doing that, switching from a style like that, it indicates to me that his legs are gone.
Yeah, his reflexes are starting to go, and that's a great point, Eric, because that's why he's stepping in before, and he's getting that jab off too late instead of jabbing, stepping in and jabbing at the same time. So moving that foot and releasing that fist, and moving that shoulder at the same time as stepping in. Now he's stepping in, and he's practically halfway in, and then he's releasing the jab, and he's not able to fully extend on it. So he's taking his own jab away, and he's smothering his punches now. And Frankie Gomez, if you're going to fight him up close, that's a recipe for disaster. That's his game. You got to fight your fight. You got to fight an outside fight against Frankie Gomez, because if you get up in his chest, Frankie Gomez is just a grinder on the inside. He's like a buzzsaw, and we got to give him credit because he was throwing those short chopping shots right around the guard of Herrera, because Herrera was trying to earmuff a lot when he was up close, and Gomez was threading the needle with all these shots. He's going up and underneath, right through the guard, throwing uppercuts, throwing looping right hands, short chop left hooks. So I just think that's a great point you made, Eric, because Herrera is starting to lose his timing and his reflexes and his legs to go along with it. So this is, at the point where he may be saying, I don't know if I can do this at this level anymore.
Yeah.
We're talking Canelo, the Canelo-Khan undercard here. We're going to go to 512. 512, you are live on Ringside Reporter. 512?
512, you're on the air.
All right, let's go to 661 here. 661, you are on the air with Ringside Reporter talking Canelo-Khan. 661.
Hello?
Yes, you're
on.
Oh, I didn't even know. I just wanted to listen to the show.
Okay.
Oh, okay. No problem. I'll put
No, but hey, since I'm on, that's
absolutely.
Fine. Great fight last night. I was very into it. The undercard was great. I was very satisfied with the money that I spent out for the fight. And now, obviously, like most people, I'm looking forward to the possible Canelo-Gennady fight, which I'm already taking bets with some of my friends about.
Do you think that fight comes off?
I wish I would, and that's the argument that I'm having with people. I know it's most likely going to happen come May. I would love for it to happen in September. Actually, that's one of the bets that I have with the buddy. I told him the fight's not going to happen in September. He was very adamant. So I said, hey, let's just bet $25. If I lose at 25, no problem. I'll make it up betting on Gennady to beat Canelo.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
It's gonna be a great fight either way. But I've never seen Gennady or a man or a fighter take punches and then just smile, and it's a that's all you got kind of a smile, and then proceed to knock him out.
You know what it reminds me of? You remember Ricardo Mayorga? Do you guys remember Ricardo Mayorga when he used to take those shots and just smile at you? The Vernon Forrest fight sticks out to me, and Vernon Forrest hit him with everything he had, and he said, "Come on," and he let him hit him with a solid right hand, and he just kept coming, man. It was just vicious.
Yeah,
that man was a tough man. Had it not been for the smoking, he might have had a longer career.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The smoking and the drinking afterwards. I mean, I remember the celebrations in the ring. He'd be smoking and drinking at the same time. It's like, really? You know?
Yeah, right.
As a kid, I thought it was hilarious, but now as I'm more in tune into boxing, it's like, well, okay, it's great showmanship, but you should really not be doing that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Well,
gentlemen,
listen, thank you. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. No. I was just going to say, excellent podcast. Live. I love that it's now, gone live to callers. I listened to Beeb and Robert on another podcast, which has really gone down the drains. And you guys, it's a breath of fresh air. So thank you guys, and good luck with this new way of doing this podcast.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Oh, of course, Beebs. Of course.
Thank you, brother.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you for the call, man.
All right, so let's move on here to Patrick Teixeira versus Curtis Stevens. Man, this might have been the upset of the night. To me, it was a Herrera fight, but this was another one. Teixeira was 26-0. Coming into this fight, he was the favorite. I didn't like Teixeira's body language coming into the fight or during the fight. He looked very tentative, and Stevens' power made him even more so tentative. Stevens wins by knockout in round 2 at 104 in the second round. Unbelievable. What did you guys think of this? Were you surprised by this? Because I picked Teixeira to win this one, too. I went 0-2 on the first 2 fights of the card. I went 0-2. What did you guys think of this one?
Well, I had never seen Patrick Teixeira fight, but Lampley made the point that that Teixeira had soft opposition, and he really didn't have any power because he came in 26-0 with 22 KOs. When I saw that record at first, I'm thinking, wow, this could be interesting, because I knew that Stevens could put people away. But when that fight started, you could tell right away that it was going to be no contest. And, wow, good for Curtis Stevens, And now he's under the tutelage of John David Jackson, and it looks like John David Jackson is going to make a difference in his career. I'm interested to see what happens to Curtis Stevens going forward.
He definitely earned a paycheck, that's for sure.
Absolutely. It was a good visibility for him being on pay-per-view, on a big pay-per-view. But I knew nothing about Teixeira as well, and when I saw him and I looked at Curtis Stevens, I kind of said, I don't know, man. If this guy doesn't have anything to keep Curtis Stevens off, it's going to be a short night, because Curtis Stevens, we all know he can punch. But now he's really starting to uncork that right hand to go along with that left hook. He used to be primarily just a left hooker. But now, he's dipping down. He's throwing some feints, himself. And he's opening up that right hand over the top, and he's going to the body now. So he's mixing up his offense a little bit. But he's also getting a little sharper on defense. He's getting up and underneath, and he's rolling underneath shots and coming up over the top with his own shots. So, I just looked at how Teixeira was fighting and the body language, like you said, Eric. He was just throwing arm punches. He was throwing those types of punches like get away from me, those get off me punches, as Paulie Malignaggi likes to say. And he had a deer in the headlights look in this fight as soon as the bell rang. As soon as he got touched by Curtis Stevens, he was like, oh, I don't know if I could deal with this all night. And the first solid punch that landed, he was done. He was out.
You know who he looked like? You know who Teixeira looked like last night? He looked like Cesar Cuenca. And we call him TBE Cesar Cuenca. I think he went 48-0. And he's
before he lost
2
consecutive fights. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but that's who he reminded me of in this fight. That's definitely. I mean, he just kind of like a pity pat, just get away from me, and he didn't seem to want to fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say I want to give props to Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya for putting. At least they did it on Direct TV for putting on the undercard. Because going into last week's show, remember, we didn't think we were going to be able to see the fights before the pay-per-view, and unbeknownst to us to have DirecTV, Oscar went ahead and did that. I'm very thankful because I was able to
It was on the Audience Network. Yeah, it was on the Audience Network. Beeb couldn't get it, though. He's got Comcast.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it because I texted him. I was like, man, the fight's out, And he was like, I ain't got it. And I looked it up. I went ahead and looked up Audience so I could find it on Comcast. It's a DirecTV channel only. So
that's correct. So, brother, we got to see the undercard. And, Diego De La Hoya looked good, man. He looked good.
Oscar De La Hoya.
Keep rubbing it in, guys. Keep rubbing it in. Keep rubbing it in.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the phone. 845. You are live on Ringside Reporter, 845. 845, are you there?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, you're on.
I'm just listening, guys.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right.
Well, let me ask you this.
I'll talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What did you think of the main event, the Canelo-Khan?
It was good, man. I really enjoyed what Khan did early. Had him win in the first 3 rounds. I thought the 3rd round was close. And then Canelo kind of was timing him and using his power shots, doing what he had to do. And then we know what happened in round 6.
Yeah, I tell you what, that shot was heard around the world, man. That was a big one. That right hand, boy, that was stiff. Very stiff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, man, thank you for the call. Thank you for listening, and definitely spread the word, and we'll put you back on hold so you can listen, okay?
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, man.
Now, remember, guys, for those of you calling in, when your area code is mentioned, that means you're on the air. I know I know the Blog Talk thing is supposed to tell you muted or unmuted, but sometimes you can't hear it. So,
in their defense, Robbie, I will tell you in their defense, our call screener's off. I gave her the day off for Mother's Day. I didn't have to, but I'm a nice guy. That's what I do. And it was our first show, and I said, hey, you know what, Lise, you can have the day off for Mother's Day. That's what I did for her today. You know what I'm saying?
What a good man you are. What a good man Eric is. Let's give it up to Eric, man.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. You can call in right now at 323-870-3857. Make sure when you come in, you hit 1 to go into the queue. All right, now let's go. We talked about the Diego De La Hoya fight. I thought he looked pretty good. We saw that was the main event on the undercard. That was the main event on the undercard. Why Oscar doesn't move this guy up, I don't know. That guy he was fighting, and the name escapes me, but the guy he was fighting was a really good fighter. He was very aggressive. I thought he went right after De La Hoya in the first couple rounds, but you saw De La Hoya slowly break him down through the fight and ultimately put him away. So, I mean, De La Hoya's the goods, man.
Oscar needs to be more fair to his family member because he's got a bright future, and he looked good last night. And no more Australia TV for this dude. Put him on TV where we can see this dude, okay?
Yeah, what's the matter with you, Oscar? He's treating him like a redheaded stepchild, man. I don't know what the deal is, why he doesn't like him, or what's going on with him, man. All right, let's go to our next fight, man. We're going to go across the pond. I know Beeb saw this. I know I saw this. This fight will actually be posted on Ringside Robbie's Corner. If you call
good.
in,
I've had people call in and ask for the Anthony Crawler and the Canelo fight. So I hope we get both of those.
I don't know if I can get that Canelo fight, but we can definitely get the Crawler fight. We got that one. WBA lightweight champion Anthony Crawler scored a spectacular 7th-round KO over previously unbeaten Ismael Barrasso on Saturday night at Manchester Arena. Crawler weathered an early barrage from Barrasso and lost the early rounds, but Barrasso started to tire, and then Crawler rocked him in the 6th and then finished him in round 7 with a vicious body shot. The time was 131 in round 7. Is an unbelievable win for Crawler. Let me tell you something. Barrasso came in here 19-0 with 18 KOs. This guy was no joke. I mean, this guy was a legit guy. A lot of people thought he was going to come in there and beat Crawler. He had gone to other people's home countries before and beat them. And a lot of people picked him over Crawler. Crawler really bit down in this fight, man. He really bit down. He showed some real heart in this fight. Beeb, what did you think?
This was a beat in the odds with Beeb's sleeper pick that I did not put out there because it was a risky one.
Well, you can't pick it now.
I know, but last week you and I did pick Crawler. Remember we said Crawler was going to win this fight?
Yeah, we sure did. We absolutely did.
Yeah, we all three thought he'd win.
Yeah. But I was a little bit nervous. I don't know. I just didn't feel like putting it out there. I thought it was a big risk. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to put two big risks out there at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So if this was just happening on its own, I probably would put that out there. But be that as it may, as Harold Letterman would say, Barrasso had the quicker hands early on, and he was really throwing a sharp, authoritative jab that was troubling Corolla, and it was kind of freezing him in his tracks a little bit, and it was preventing him from getting untracked offensively early on. But to his credit, as you said, he put the earmuffs on. Some of the jabs got through, but some of them were being caught on the gloves, and he was catching a lot of them, and he was still moving forward. So Barrasso had to exert a lot of energy by throwing these punches just to keep Corolla from moving forward, to stop that forward momentum, because he was fighting a very dogged, determined, aggressive type fight. And as the fight went on, you saw Barrasso start to fade a little bit because he was getting tired, because the pressure was getting to him. And then Corolla was starting to throw those looping shots around the earmuffs, and he was landing pretty cleanly. He was hitting them like in the temple area, a lot of these equilibrium shots. And, he's throwing uppercuts. He's going to the body. He was really ripping the body. And I think this was basically a fight that was won on will. Had some skill in it from Corolla, taking nothing away from him, because he was threading the needle too. He was working his way around those earmuffs, up and under and around them, and he was landing some effective blows. But at the end of the day, this was a guy who just imposed his will on somebody who was probably more skilled than him, probably hit harder than him. But this is one of those occasions where will does beat skill. Will does beat skill, and I think that's what we saw in this fight. This was a fight that was won on sheer guts, and he did have some skill. I mean, he was crafty enough to be able to sneak those shots around the guard and go up and underneath. But at the end of the day, if he didn't have the heart and the conditioning to keep moving forward, he wasn't going to win this fight.
Crawler is such a good fighter, man, and he really did. He imposed his will on Barrasso. And honestly, man, I thought, while Barrasso was winning the early fight, you kind of sensed it. You saw him getting tired, and even the announcers alluded to it during the broadcast that he's getting tired. You see it, and especially in the 6th round, clearly it was all over but the crying at that point. But you could see Crawler slowly start to impose his will, the pressure, everything. And, I mean, it was just a fantastic win. This is a guy, that Barrasso, Ismael Barrasso, again, undefeated prospect coming in. This is not a soft touch. This is a legit contender. And this was a 50-50 fight going in. A lot of people thought it was a 50-50 fight going in. I can't even tell you how. It's just a great thing to watch, man. Crawler is definitely the real deal. Great fighter.
Absolutely.
Now, also, too, on that undercard, Martin Murray, my man, got back on track with a TKO win. Super middleweight Martin Murray stopped Cedric Spera in round 2. I think Spera was like 2-3 in his last 5 fights, so this was definitely a touch for him. Time was 1:47 in round 2. Murray dropped Spera twice in round 2. Who's up next for Martin Murray? George Groves is up next for Martin Murray on June 2nd.
That'll be a good fight.
Is one of my absolute favorite fighters. I love Martin Murray. So
yeah, that'll be a good fight.
Yeah. Now, sticking across the pond, we had Kubrat Pulev and Derek Chisora. This took place in Germany. Pulev won a split decision over Chisora. The scores were 116, 112, 118, 110 for Pulev, both for Pulev, and then 115, 113 for Chisora. This was a split decision. I didn't see the fight. I don't know, Beeb, did you see this fight?
I actually did watch this fight, and I'll be honest with you.
I heard it was boring. I heard it was very boring.
Yeah,
I heard Pulev grabbed a lot, yeah.
Yeah, because Chisora was basically barreling his way in and trying to throw those looping shots over the top against the taller guy. Pulev was doing just enough to win these rounds. He was eking them out. He was sticking them with the jab. I scored at 116 and 112 for Pulev. I thought he won the fight. Chisora was aggressive. He was barreling his way in. He did okay to the body, but I thought he was very sloppy. And he tends to smother his own offense as well because he barrels his way in too close. And then, he allows the clinch. You know what I'm saying? He invites the clinch, and he accepts the clinch. He accepts the clinch. And for a guy that is an inside fighter, you have to be able to learn how to not be clinched like that. You can't just sit there and accept the clinch. You got to work your way out of those clinches. And that's why he loses these fights, in my opinion. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you did not at all. Chisora, that's kind of his style. I mean, he's a sloppy fighter. I mean, he just is. And you noticed it with the Klitschko fight. He was sloppy there. He's sloppy in this one. Where do you go? If you're Derek Chisora, I mean, where do you go from here? I mean, is there really – I mean, you know what I mean? What's left for him out there? Eddie Hearn was on record saying that if he won the fight, that it's possible that he gets a Joshua fight. Yeah, and that guy's custom made for Joshua. The only thing, I tell you what, the thing that I would like to see with the Joshua fight, of course, is if Chisora fought him, is if Joshua can put him away, because Chisora is very durable. He is a very durable fighter.
Well, it looks like Anthony Joshua is cleaning out the Al Heyman stable of heavyweights first. So
right.
Yeah. So. Well,
you can call in.
Wait and see.
You can call in right now at 323-870-3857. Hit 1 to go in the queue. Let's talk about some action from earlier today, Sunday. Naoya Inoue won a unanimous decision over David Carmona earlier today in Tokyo, Japan. He retained his 115-pound WBO title, 118 to 109 twice, and 116 to 112. I didn't catch the fight, but Inoue, who was coming off a hand injury, apparently injured himself again. This is significant because he has been mentioned as a possible opponent for Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. Apparently he had hand surgery, came back in December, won the fight big. He's a knockout guy. I mean, he's got the power and everything like that, so that's why the Chocolatito fight is very interesting. But he's only got 10 pro fights. Is this, I mean, compared to Roman, who's got like 40-some-odd fights? I mean,
Roman is, what is Roman, 44-0, 38 knockouts? So,
something to that effect, yeah. And he's 112. He can come up to 115 rather easily. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Why would you be promoting a guy that has a title, though, that only has 10 fights going up against the best guy in the division? Because granted, when Roman hits 115, he's going to take that division over like he did 112. To me, on paper, just on experience alone, it would be a mismatch. But apparently, people see things in this Japanese fellow that, that
very highly regarded. Yeah, very highly regarded for sure. But you know, you think of the same thing with Lomachenko. I think it's kind of a new. We're kind of entering a new era, to be honest with you. I mean, you got guys like Lomachenko who who come in and they're they've got 3 pro fights and they're fighting for a title already.
Yeah,
and we're seeing that quite a bit. Look at Zhu Shiming, your boy, out of China, who fought.
You're not my boy.
Who fought just a few times. So So that's the action from today. Let's talk about the upcoming fights here. Let's see what we got here. May 8th, which is tonight on Bounce TV. You can stream that. The main event is Kanat Islam, knockout artist, versus Wande Angel. 10 rounds, junior middleweights. Also on that card, we have Miguel Cruz versus Samuel Figueroa, 8 rounds, junior middleweights. And Dennis Galarza versus Yardley Suarez, 8 rounds, featherweights. All right.
Okay.
And on May 13th, is this a Friday?
That's
I don't
Friday.
Know
Friday the 13th. Yep.
There we go. There we go. Yeah. Lucky Friday the 13th at Las Vegas on Showtime. Andrew Tabiti versus Keith Tapia, 10 rounds cruiserweights, and I can't wait to see Andrew Tabiti. And then also on the undercard, Michael Hunter versus Isaiah Thomas, 10 rounds cruiserweights.
Yeah, that's a ShoBox card.
Right. Now, also, too, on the 13th at Washington, D.C., on the BET, this is a Jay-Z card, Rock Nation. Dusty Hernandez-Harrison, it's one of his fighters, versus Michael Dallas Jr., 10 rounds welterweights. And Darmani Rock versus Carlos Blake, 4 rounds heavyweights on BET. Now, also, too, from Rhode Island, and you may know about this because you're around that area, Peter Manfredo Jr. versus Vladimir Bias, 10 rounds super middleweights. I don't have a TV station for that. I don't know if it's going to be local there. I don't know if it's going to
it probably won't be televised. It's a local fight.
Yeah, okay. So, but that'll take place in Rhode Island. But Peter Manfredo, of course, of Contender fame, is going to be on there. And then May 14th, not much going on here. Cabo San Lucas on BN Sports in Espanol, Robbie's favorite station. Carlos Diaz versus Roberto Marroquin, 10 rounds, junior lightweights. And on Unimas on May 14th, Saul Rodriguez versus Dallas Prescott, 10 rounds, lightweights. And Arnold Barboza Jr. versus John Nader, 8 rounds, welterweights.
We have a very quiet weekend.
Absolutely. From Wales, Beeb will be very interested in this at Cardiff in Wales. Lee Haskins versus Ivan Morales, 12 rounds for Haskins' IBF bantamweight title. So that'll be interesting. And then I'm looking at here, they got a card in Detroit, but there's no real big names on it. They're only 6 rounders. And that's it for the weekend. That's it for the weekend. So very light weekend after.
Well, we're going to make up for it. We're going to make up for it though on May 21st. There's a wall-to-wall Boxing Day, especially if Showtime gets to televise the Wilder fight. They still haven't announced that yet.
We got the Charlos, we got Arislandi Lara, we got Deontay. I would imagine somebody is going to stream that. I would imagine somebody is going to, not stream it, but I mean somebody's going to pick that up. I would imagine that Showtime would be able to pick that up. I mean, if they can't pick it up, nobody's picking it up, So.
They keep saying they're in negotiations, but no decision has been made yet. So.
Right. You can call in right now at 323-870-3857. Press option 1. Let's go to our news and rumors section now. Let's start it off, man. This is weird, man. This is really weird. A couple of Floyd Mayweather stories here. Floyd Mayweather has just trademarked number 50. This week, Floyd Mayweather filed for trademarks on TMT 50 and TBE 50. He wants to come back for a 9-figure payday. That's 100 large. Gangster talk for 100 million. Who does he fight to get this payday?
I've got
a fight for you because this just came out and this story will not die. Floyd Mayweather, I am dumbfounded about how much press this actually got in the past 2 days. And from big outlets, we're talking CBS, Bleacher Report, everybody had this, okay? Had the article on these two fighting. Floyd Mayweather versus, are you ready for it, Conor McGregor from the UFC. I said that. The article originated from the Sun tabloid newspaper in the UK. You guys, you crazy British people. Dana White has since commented on it, basically saying it's not happening. What do you guys think?
Joe, you're the adopted Britain son. What do you think of that?
This is what I heard. I heard that Floyd Mayweather. This is a rumor now. I'm not saying it's factual. That Floyd Mayweather it was proposed to him that he would get $100 million if this fight was able to come off, and Conor McGregor would get $10 million. And Floyd Mayweather, in interviews, basically didn't really shy away from this fight. Said it was possible. Said he would consider it. But nothing is confirmed here. So this is talk. But for some reason, as Eric said, the story has legs. So I don't know.
It won't go away.
It won't go away.
But it's not going to happen. I mean, Conor McGregor is under contract with the UFC. Here's the deal, and here's how I know it won't happen. If there was any fight that was going to happen like that, it would have been Anderson Silva and Roy Jones Jr. Those two wanted to fight. Those two wanted to box. It wasn't going to be an MMA fight. It was going to be a boxing match. And so those two wanted to go at it. But the problem was he was under contract. There's no way Dana White said nope. He put the kibosh on the whole thing. So
how do these UFC contracts work? Because supposedly Conor McGregor retired from the UFC.
He didn't retire. Yeah, he didn't retire. Even if he does retire, okay, well, here's the deal. Even if he does retire.
He said he was. I don't know if it's serious. But let's speak hypothetically. Say he was to retire, right?
Right.
Does that prevent him from fighting in a boxing match? Or does that just prevent him from not, like if he's going to fight in an MMA fight, obviously he's still under contract with the UFC, but would that prevent him from fighting in boxing matches?
I believe it would. Yeah, I believe it would. I don't think he can do any my guess would be that he's limited to any combat sports. So this way he can't retire and then go to Bellator. That's clearly a violation. He can retire, and I can imagine he can go to the WWE. But even Brock Lesnar, when he got out of that contract, he still had to do, it still had to be cleared and everything like that.
Okay. That makes sense.
So, absolutely. Let's go to the phones here. 732, you are live. 732.
Amazing, and he straight round, but his button was pressed, and that button was real easy. So, I give
you
credit.
Go ahead and mute that, Eric.
All right. 713, you are on the air. 713, you're alive. All right, they're just listening.
They're just listening.
That's okay. All right. So, but as far as Floyd Mayweather goes, I mean, this story is a story that just will not die. So this, which is lending it in. Floyd Mayweather has also come out and said he started the rumor. McGregor's manager, his manager trainer, has come out also and said he says, it's lovely. He tweeted out the other day, it's lovely Mayweather this week. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, right? So, insane, man. It's insane. So I can't imagine that fight is going to take place. I can't imagine the UFC letting that fight take place. They pulled McGregor off of the UFC 200 card because he would not do the press conference. There was a press conference a couple of weeks ago.
Remember when the whole retirement talk started a few weeks ago, Eric? He was complaining about not having enough time to train and having to do too many press interviews.
Right. That's it. Let's go to 832. 832, you are live. 832, can you hear me? All right, 832 just dropped. Hey, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, cell phones.
All right. That's right. Yeah. All right, so let's move forward here. Upcoming fights now. Check this out. This is interesting. Huey Fury, Tyson's cousin, Beeb's boy, has been added to the Fury-Klitschko undercard. All right, what do you guys think of that? We don't know who it's going to be yet, but he's going to be added to that undercard. Also, too, friend of the show, Saddam Ali, set to make his return on the Francisco Vargas-Orlando Salido undercard. The opponent has not yet been named, and I got to be honest, man, he really disappointed in this fight against Jesse Vargas. He didn't look good.
I still have very serious doubts whether the main event should be allowed to even go off because of the whole Francisco Vargas not passing a drug test thing.
It absolutely should not be allowed to go off. No way. No way. Should not be allowed to go off.
I have very serious doubts. I guess it's going to be allowed to, but I'm wondering now. I was looking forward to this fight before this story broke. Now I'm wondering what kind of fight we're actually going to get.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, again, because of a commission didn't test him, and outside of Vada tested this guy. He came back dirty. Vada tested this guy, came back dirty, and all of a sudden, but since the commission didn't test him, it's okay for him to fight. Come on, man, that's just ridiculous.
I don't buy that. I really, really, really don't. But
no.
And it takes away from a very good fight, in my opinion.
So you guys think he intentionally took the clenbuterol? There's no way that you think that. Okay.
No. That he got it from eating meat.
Well,
that he got it from eating meat.
They do put a lot of crap in that meat in Mexico.
Well, Eric, I have read a lot of.
Get Lorenzo from TJ back on. We're gonna ask him if he eats the meat over there, man.
Yeah.
You can't drink the water. You can't eat the meat. You can't drink the water. I don't know.
Conti's defending him. Victor Conti's defending him. That's if Victor Conti to defend somebody. I don't know.
Victor Conte actually went on a podcast last week and put up a 20-minute defense for Francisco Vargas.
And I heard that. You know what? And let me tell you what I heard that. And Victor Conte, whatever. All right, that guy's the biggest cheater of them all. I mean, he really is. He's the one that founded Balco. He's the one that founded all this stuff, enabled all these people to cheat, from Barry Bonds to Shane Mosley, and he came on and said, "No, this is legit. Get out of here. I have zero tolerance."
Not only that, Eric.
Well, I was on Riverboat Radio, and then Chris Carlson said to me, he goes, "Well, how come it's not happening in the U.S. then? Don't we put like hormones and stuff in our meat too? So why aren't the United States fighters getting popped?" So he made a good point. I couldn't really answer him intelligently, so it is what it is, I guess.
And by the way, since we're on that subject, I want to give props to Steve Kim and everybody associated with Leave It in the Ring and all the shows they do over there, because I went over to almost every show I could find over there and promoted the fact that we were going to be here, and everybody was very supportive. And I want to publicly thank all those guys for being supportive.
I tell you what, man, I thought Steve Kim, let me tell you about Steve Kim for a minute. And he does the Next Round podcast, correct? And it's on the Leave It in the Ring network. Right. And he has been unbelievable. He's unbelievably great. Steve Kim let Robbie on. Robbie's a regular caller. Robert's a regular caller to his show. Calls him up. Robert promotes anything on there. I mean, Robert will promote this podcast and everything like that, his boxing corner. Steve lets him promote and everything like that. I tweeted Steve out earlier in the week to thank him and say, "Hey man, thank you so much for letting us do the podcast and everything." He retweeted it. So promoted us again. Gabriel Montoya retweeted it, promoted it again. Those guys are unbelievable over there. I can't say enough nice things about them, man.
And no, I mean, we're doing this podcast, folks, because we have fun talking about our favorite sport, and I'm just absolutely thrilled that everybody else that does this, that's associated with Leave It in the Ring and all that, and Rope-A-Dope Radio and all those, everybody has been very supportive, and I mean this is how it should be. We've had outstanding phone calls tonight. People have been able to express their opinion. This is why we wanted to do this show, and this is what we're going to provide every single Sunday when we're here.
Right. Now let's move on to the upcoming fight still. Let's go, champ. Shannon Briggs will fight Alexander Dmitrienko, easy for me to say, on May 21st. This fight will be on the undercard of David Haye against Arnold Gurjaj. I don't know. I've never heard of this guy. I don't know who he is. It sounds like an opponent for Briggs, but Briggs isn't fighting him. It's David Haye fighting him. If both fighters win, this will set up a Haye versus Briggs fight that absolutely nobody wants to see.
Right. Try that again, Joe. When you get too excited, your audio overmodulates.
Let's go, champ. That's right.
Yeah.
Let's go, champ. You know what? And I have tried to get Briggs. I've tried to get a hold of Briggs, man. I tell you what, I cannot do it. I've tweeted him. I've tried to run him down like he runs down Klitschko. I have really tried to run this guy down because his videos. If you ever watched his YouTube videos, he's always the Let's Go champ, and when he's chasing Briggs down on a speedboat and everything like that. But there's this one video. Every video you see, he's always got his shirt off. And there's this one video where he's in an office and he just walks in it's in like an office setting. He walks in with like slacks and just no shirt and just sits down like he's
Man, it must be nice to live the kind of life that he does. He travels all over the world and chases down all these fights and
unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. So now Showtime. Now this is interesting too. Showtime inks Anthony Joshua to a fight deal. Anthony Joshua has signed a 6-fight deal with Showtime. The first fight will take place on June 25th against Dominic Breazeale. Is this a good move for Showtime?
Yeah. Now my question. Now I'm glad that they did this, but my question is, are we going to continue to get the British broadcast, or does that mean that Showtime's actually going to spend money and send their crew over there to cover this?
Paulie Malignaggi's been over there a few times. He may be involved. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to June 25th to find that out because, the last couple of fights that Showtime has shown from Britain, I absolutely love those guys. The way they do fights, and I hope with all the Joshua fights we get those announcers. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so. I think that'll be good, man. Why didn't HBO pick this guy up?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. To be honest, in 2016, Showtime is kicking the hell out of HBO's butt because Showtime's schedule has been much more interesting to watch this year. HBO last night ran down their upcoming schedule, and all they could talk about was the fight game coming up on Wednesday, June 4th, the June 4th fight, the June 11th card, and then they promoted the hell out of July 23rd, Terrence Crawford and Victor Postal on pay-per-view. HBO's got a serious problem here because Showtime is actually putting fights on Showtime. They're not putting anything on pay-per-view. What does that say about the HBO boxing budget? We've had this discussion on Steve's show for the last several weeks.
What's Steve been saying about this? Is he, criticizing HBO's moves here, or?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He basically said it's up to Peter Nelson to show that he actually can put on some fights. And why are you putting certain fights on pay-per-view? And he says the reason why he thinks that's happening is because HBO does not have the boxing budget that Showtime has this year.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, this budget seems to be shrinking every year. It was once $90 million, now it's down to $30.
Well, you know what they can do is they can cancel the fight game and maybe get some more fights out of it because that show is terrible. That show is unwatchable. I don't watch it. I can't watch it.
I can't stand
unwatchable.
Lampley is hard to listen to.
I like Lampley, but that show is just unwatchable.
The two worst shows that they have on for boxing on HBO is the fight game and those fucking face-offs.
Please, please.
Hell, Max Kellerman. Number one, whenever he does one of these face-offs, they pick out the most weirdest music to start with, and then they it's almost like they put the fighters and Max in some kind of dark room. Have you ever noticed that? They put them in some kind of dark room, and it's like it's supposed to be eerie and all this. I don't know what the hell they're trying to prove with those things anyway. Both fight game. Go ahead, Eric.
It's a direct ripoff of the English show that does that. They got a British show that does that with the British fights coming up and everything like that, and it's like a face-off. It's exactly the same. It's a complete ripoff of that show. But I like theirs because they're like 40 minutes, an hour long. It's nice.
Yeah, I actually think that ours came out before theirs, but theirs is better than ours.
It's completely better, yeah.
Well, and those things only go 15 minutes. Come on, if you're going to do it right.
And let me tell you what else I hate about HBO now. Why on earth do they give so much credence to the trainers? Before, back in the day, it was just two boxers. It was just the two boxers. You talk about the two boxers. Now they're talking about every time, Virgil Hunter, Freddie Roach. Dude, they're not fighting. They're trainers, Get them, if you're going to interview them separate, but don't interview him like he's part of the fight. You know what I mean?
It's so funny you say this because, to me, it seems to me like HBO is all about the behind the scenes more so than the substantive issues of the fight itself. They're talking about all these backstories and all these, the drama and the hype. They're more about the politicking now, it seems, as opposed to just the fights. And I have to say, I really like listening to Paulie Malignaggi and Al Bernstein more so than Max Kellerman and Jim Lampley and Roy Jones. I'm sorry. I just really enjoy watching a fight on Showtime. I just see it. I don't know. I see it slipping. I see HBO boxing kind of slipping, and it's on the downside. I don't think that they're improving at all. I think they're regressing more so than improving. And I think Showtime is doing just the opposite.
Yeah, they're really coming on, man.
Showtime is doing a wonderful job. I mean, my God, their schedule is something else. That's why I gave Oscar so many props earlier, because before yesterday, whenever a pay-per-view undercard happened before the pay-per-view, we weren't allowed to see it. And I hope that this means that whenever there's a pay-per-view in the future, that we actually get to see all the cards. That's why I love Showtime whenever they put on the Showtime Extreme cards, because you actually get to see the fights before the fights. I mean, that's what hardcore boxing fans are into. I mean, good move on Showtime, and HBO, as far as I'm concerned, you're in serious trouble. I mean, when you've got to put a fight on between Terrence Crawford and Victor Postal on pay-per-view on July 23rd, I have to wonder about your stability as far as being in the boxing game.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, man, the Victor Postal and Terrence Crawford fight is a good one. Don't get me wrong. It's a really good one. It doesn't belong on pay-per-view, though.
No.
The fight, again, we've said this ad nauseum, man. The fight that should have been made was Postal and Manny Pacquiao. Or not, right, Crawford and Pacquiao. That's the fight that should have been made. Let's go to the phones right now. Let's go to 407. You're on the air.
What's going on? This is Boxing MD.
Well, hello, Boxing MD. How are you?
Let me answer Boxing MD. Blast me. Go ahead. Ether me, if you will.
Ether me.
Yeah, you be ethered. No. And how's it going, Robbie? Long time no talk. So hope everything's doing well. But you know, I don't need to go too hard on Beeb, because Beeb's claim to fame was the Tyson Fury win, which was like 40 years ago. So, you know, we all know.
Actually, that was just last November, brother.
Let him have his day of the sun.
But I have goldfish memory. But anyway, so like I could go over like my take on the card really quickly, and then I'll let you guys get on some other callers. But
okay.
I've never been big on Brazilian boxers, so I was not surprised that Curtis Stevens took Teixeira out that quickly. The guy didn't really hit hard. Teixeira had no punch resistance, so Curtis Stevens essentially had his way with him. Frankie Gomez. He is an extremely talented boxer. I just wish he was as committed to be an athlete as he was a talented boxer, because nobody's ever did that to Herrera, like, as far as looked that good, hit him so cleanly, literally destroyed him. But it was like the 6th, 7th, 8th round, a more talented or a more committed athlete would have put his foot on the pedal and got him out of there, and that would have been a really good look for Frankie Gomez. So, he just isn't. To me, Beeb, did you see that a little bit, that he kind of looked a little bit out of shape? For that
I thought he looked very timid. I thought he looked starstruck. I thought he had a deer-in-the-headlights look, and he was just very, very nervous and tight, and everything he threw was just like arm punches, get-off-me punches.
I really was not impressed with Gomez. That's why I want to see him in there against somebody that would actually give him some competition, and that's why I was so disappointed in Herrera showing up and fighting the way he fought, because I thought Herrera would have brought out either the good things in Gomez or the bad things in Gomez. I was really shocked by how that turned out.
Well, I mean, you're not impressed how? Not impressed, because I'm impressed with what I see, but I'm not impressed with the entire performance. Like,
that's what I'm talking
not
about.
impressed
That's
is
what
kind
I'm
of
talking about.
I actually misunderstood. I thought you were talking about the Brazilian guy. I actually was impressed with Gomez. I thought Gomez paced himself very well in this fight, and I thought he was better defensively. I thought he was moving his head. I thought he was getting low, getting underneath shots. And when he was making Herrera miss, I thought he was making him pay. So I thought that he didn't let Herrera off the hook. But again, to me, it looked like Herrera was flat. It looked like Herrera's timing was off. Looked like as Eric mentioned, I thought his legs were going too. So I don't think this was the best Herrera. But again, that's not Gomez's fault. Gomez did what he had to do.
Yeah, he was in total survival mode where he wasn't even letting. I didn't even see him throw a right punch the whole fight. I mean, he would jab a little bit, but each time he got separation and they would get an opportunity to punch, he would clinch because he was hurt. I mean, it was a one-sided beatdown, and it was clearly in the later rounds he was trying to survive. But onto the David Lemieux fight. I mean, I kind of expected this to happen, but David Lemieux did look good. So, and I don't know if you guys have talked about it yet, but I think that was an excellent stoppage by the corner.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought David Lemieux was just completely just outworking him, outgunning him, everything. And I did think David Lemieux was going to fade down the stretch because he was throwing so many power shots. However, I don't think Glenn Tapia was in any position to take advantage of it, even if he did. So, yeah, it was definitely a good stoppage.
Yeah, because it's pretty much like I was watching the fight, and it's like, I was, stepping back, and I'm like, anybody who says that he should have had more time to have an opportunity to get back in the fight. I mean, we all knew what the fuck was going to happen. His head was going to be battered around the ring, and he could get hurt. So
no, I'm glad they did what they did, and I think we'll see what happens to David Lemieux in the future.
They also know their fighter, and they know their fighter is not going to quit. They know their fighter can take a beating. And that's the worst type of fighter to have, because if he's not going to go away quietly, if he's not going to get knocked out, because he's a guy that usually when he's stopped, he finishes the fight on his feet. He's just a hard guy to make submit. So that's the type of guy who's going to take a beating. He's going to have some residual damage because of it. So they have to stop a fight when it's with Tapia, because Tapia's too brave for his own good. He's got too much heart.
And let's face it, we don't want another Pritchard Cologne, man. So I'm glad
not at all.
Still, and by the way, and I don't know if Beav remembers, but I was actually at that fight. And
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that whole thing was pretty. It's like hindsight's 20/20, where I remember all these things vividly because he's still in a coma. And the last thing his family sent a tweet out or something about the fact that they're hoping for a miracle. So it's definitely a dangerous thing, but we all send our hearts and prayers out to him.
Yeah,
but,
in the last couple of years, we've had two fighters go through this now. Remember that we had that Russian a couple of years ago fight Madison Square Garden on HBO, and now we had the Cologne thing. So, I'm not going to complain about stoppages, but boxing MD, what did you think of the main event?
Yeah, so the main event, I don't know, like I said, I just called you guys, so I don't know what you guys have been talking about before, but I think it was, unlike Beeb, I expected this to happen. So, was I impressed with Canelo? I was impressed in the realm in which he achieved exactly what I expected him to achieve. In the first two rounds, he saw the speed, right? The speed was Amir Khan hits, his hands are very fast. But if you notice, he doesn't even land clean that often. And when they said he landed about 35 punches early on, or I don't know through how many rounds. He landed about 6 or 7 punches that were really clean. So a lot of those, he still has that Olympic style, boxing where he's not really looking to, hurt you, which, you have to hurt a bigger fighter to make him respect you, so that Canelo couldn't come in later and do the body work, which he did in rounds 3 and 4, which that was when I didn't give one. I gave the first 2 rounds to Khan, and I know you guys might disagree with this, but I gave rounds 3, 4, and 5 all to Canelo.
No, that's what I did. did.
Yeah, I had Khan winning the first 3 rounds, and then I gave 4 and 5 to Canelo. But I could see it. I could see it that way for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And the judges were all over the place too. One judge had it the way I had it. The other judge had it reversed, and then one judge had it 4 rounds to 1 for Canelo.
That's questionable for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. I was surprised that the one judge, like I said, man, and even they were talking about it on the HBO broadcast. They said they could give Canelo the first round as well. They didn't, but they said they could see them giving Canelo the first round. I could not see a way that you could give Canelo that first round. But
no, I'm glad Harold Letterman came in the 3rd round and said no. Khan won the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, that was pretty clear, man.
Yeah.
The second round was closer than the first round, but regardless, I gave Khan those first 2 rounds, and then the body work. I mean, people say that Canelo, there's points of the fight that he didn't look great. I mean, like great in subliminally, I'm comparing him to Triple G, who I've said this before. I think he's the best fighter on earth. So I hold Triple G that high. So when I criticize Canelo, I'm comparing him to how I would see a fight against Triple G, right? And where Canelo is very good or does much better is the fact that he had a perfect game plan where, like I said, the speed, rounds 4 and 5, he really started doing the body work, especially to, I think it's the left side of Khan where you saw the visible bruising underneath his left arm. And he did this beautiful combination, which I knew was the beginning of the end of the fight. I think it was in the 5th round, where he threw I think it was a right hook to the body, a left hook to the head. Am I correct with that?
I believe so.
I mean, that's right.
Khan at that point, Khan was definitely slowing down, and then and that knockout was it's what you have to do against a smaller fighter, and that is a career highlight knockout, and it goes up there with the Baldemirs and the other career high knockout.
Let me ask you one question. MD. Because we saw the scorecards, we talked about this earlier in the show, how one judge had it 4-1 for Canelo, which was crazy. We've seen other wide scorecards in Canelo fights. So if Canelo fights Triple G and that fight goes to the distance, goes to a decision, could it be conceivable that the judges will give a lot of rounds to Canelo because they favor that Canelo style? Because a lot of judges just seem to be giving him a lot of rounds in fights that I think are closer. Maybe you may not agree with me on some of the fights, but
I think Golovkin is so much better than Canelo that I don't. First off, I think he'll finish him. And the second thing is even that second round, which I did not give to Canelo because, and then again we are watching it. I assume everybody they've been to some fights and understand how it's different sitting ringside. That's a whole other topic.
Absolutely,
it's
completely
better to judge
different.
On TV. Yeah, it's much. You hear things, you see things differently. But I think that either he'll finish him, or the rounds will be so. I mean, the rounds in those it was weird, right? And the Lara fight, those rounds could have gone anyway. But it's not gonna. He's not. Triple G's not Lara. It's not the same thing. And the rounds that Triple G would win, and he knows this. He's not an idiot. Nobody's ever questioned his limited, where he understands in the boxing world. He's not going to let those rounds eke out rounds against Canelo. That he will jab and throw power punches to convincingly win those rounds. So, I do see. It was kind of weird at the end of the fight that what's his name? Not that Amir said that Canelo should challenge Triple G.
Virgil Hunter.
Yeah, Virgil Hunter. I think people say that Virgil Hunter doesn't like Canelo. I think Virgil Hunter doesn't like Triple G because of the whole Andre Ward Triple G debacle. If you remember that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Boxing MD, let me ask you, what did you think of Virgil Hunter's antics after the fight? I mean, when he says Canelo has to fight him, and he has to fight him at 160, what did you kind of make of that when you saw that?
I mean, to be honest, he's trying to kind of make. I was happy when I saw that because I think more people are kind of giving Canelo a pass in the boxing world because I hate catchweights in general.
Well, I'm not giving him a pass. I want him to fight a real 160-pound fighter, and there's only one guy I want to see him fight.
Because it's not the only time a catchweight would remotely make sense is if I'm a 154-pounder and I'm fighting a 147-pounder, and we're fighting for both of our belts, and then maybe it would make sense, right? Canelo is just, he's making it harder for. He's just the only thing Canelo's done is he's mastered the diuretic game. I'm not saying he's using anything illegally. But he's the same size as Golovkin. He's just very good at weight cutting. And he's done it good enough, and he's just saying, well, I've kind of mastered weight cutting, so if you want to fight me at my weight, even though I'm the same size as you, you're going to have to go through the same ridiculous weight cutting regimen. But
that's a great point.
I just thought Virgil Hunter was trying to somehow – I don't think it was calculated. I think he was just somehow trying to take the shine away from Canelo's win. Because his guy just got his head bounced off the canvas. I mean, think about that. His guy, who Virgil Hunter is, sweet nothings. You know, like he's the master
defensive.
He's a good trainer. Yeah, he's a good trainer.
Virgil Hunter is trying to be the dog whisperer, is what you're saying.
Yeah. He's a good trainer. I'm not trying to knock his entire training career, but I mean, it looks bad when your guy's head gets bounced off the canvas. So whatever he has to say to take away from that, he might say. So I wouldn't. It was very weird. So I can't think too much into it. But you know, I'll let you guys go and get on to another call. But the last thing is, he has to fight. He has to drop the belt, or he has to fight Golovkin. There's no, and it should be at one. Here's the thing: Canelo's the A side, big time A side, huge A side, maybe even 90-10 financial split. We're talking, but you don't split fairness as far as what goes on in the ring. What's compromised is your purse. You should not compromise the ability to win in a match. I mean, that's how I always feel, where it's like, when you guys bigger, you bring him down. No, it's like you make where the discrepancy occurs is in the purse. It should not occur what happens out there, because that takes away from the fight, and none of us should want that, even though it happens. So, you know, hopefully I'll listen to you guys, you know, on the repeat and, you know, hear what you guys had to say earlier, and I wish you guys the best.
Well,
thank you so much, man.
Brother.
That was a great call. Spread the word, okay? Thank you so much.
Thanks, brother.
All right. No problem, Beeb. Take care, Beeb.
All right, man.
Great call.
Yeah, no. Good guy, too.
All right, so let's move on here. Let's move on to our train wreck of the week. This is a different one, man. 50 Cent berates a CVG employee with autism. CVG is the local airport here in Cincinnati, Ohio. And it's actually located in Kentucky, which, you know, go figure that one out. Former boxing promoter 50 Cent made news here in Cincinnati. 50 was at the Cincinnati airport, of course, which is located in northern Kentucky, when he encountered and started filming a airport worker. 50 states on the video, what kind of blank do you think he's taking? What kind of, you know, what do you think he's on? He is high as a, Robbie, I think you know this one, a mother blank.
Yeah, exactly.
Turns out the CVG worker had social anxiety, autism, and Asperger's. He was just trying to do his job. Nice job, 50, to make an autistic teen feel accepted. 50 Cent did a short apology to the family. The family now wants 50 Cent to make it right and donate $10,000 to Autism Speaks. Let me tell you something. 50 should donate that and then more, and definitely come out of his pocket to pay this. It was a lousy thing to do. Last I heard, 50 did donate some to Autism Speaks. Now, whether he donated the full 10 or whatever he did, but he did, from what I understand, he did donate. So good for him. Good for him. Now, also, too, in the news, Oscar De La Hoya says Trump is a cheater at golf. Oscar De La Hoya claims that Trump is a cheater on the golf course. He says that he played at one of Trump's courses, and he played Trump on the course, and he witnessed him cheat 3 times during the game. He said something about he would shoot his ball, and he would lose his ball. Then all of a sudden he would find his ball, or they'd be on a par 3. He would lose the ball. He'd somehow end up with a birdie. He said it was just kind of funny. I thought it was actually kind of an amusing story.
Ironically enough, Oscar invited Donald to the fight last night because of Donald's trying to get Donald because of Donald coming out with his, you know, immigration stance and whatever. And of course, Donald didn't bother to show up. So
You know what's funny about that is Donald Trump actually tweeted out, he said, there's a lot of rumors that I'm going to be at the fight tonight. I'm not. He said he's not going. So he actually tweeted out that he wasn't going to be there. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Now, Oscar De La Hoya claims that there could be a rematch with Floyd Mayweather. So there could be a Mayweather-Canelo, too. Oscar De La Hoya thinks a rematch can happen, but only if Canelo gets the lion's share of the purse. He says that Canelo is a star now. It must be great living in fantasy land.
I'll be dreaming.
No, that rematch is not. God, I don't want to see Mayweather in the ring ever again. And I don't want to ever see that.
Why, Robbie?
Because he's not TBE.
Okay, Robbie.
Yeah.
I don't think he's TBE, but he is definitely in the top 10 for sure. He's very good fighter.
Right.
But nobody, he's not very crowd pleasing. We'll put it that way.
No.
And anybody who says, and I love the people that tune in. People tune in. People don't tune in to watch him win. People tune in to watch him get beat. That's the deal,
Well,
that's true. That is very true.
Then 4.4 million people were disappointed last May 2nd.
Well, they were disappointed in Pacquiao's performance as well. So
that's
no
right.
question about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Shane Mosley, man. The hero, man. He's a genuine hero. There was a 4-car pileup on the 405 in L.A. last week. Mosley said there was a baby in the car seat screaming and bleeding. This is, he got out of the car, saw this baby in the car. The father of the baby, who was actually driving the car, was so out of it, he couldn't unlock the door. He couldn't get the baby out. He was just hurt and out of it, Mosley and his girlfriend called 911. Shane got the baby out of the car and held him until the paramedics arrived. Mosley said the baby was crying and bleeding. His neck was bruised. Mosley grabbed the baby from the bag. Mosley grabbed the baby from the car. He grabbed the baby bag from the car, then followed the ambulance to the hospital. Along the way, Mosley's girlfriend called the baby's mother, who's also pregnant with her second child. They got to go to the hospital. They went to the hospital, and thankfully everyone was okay. Now, that is hero behavior right there. Mosley gave the family tickets to the upcoming fight, his upcoming fight, Mosley's next upcoming fight. So, way to repay it.
Shane shouldn't be fighting anymore, but that's another story.
You're terrible. You know what? That is.
What are you doing? You're ready.
No, hey, look, he did a good deed.
The guy just saved a baby. The guy just and you just dump on him.
Robbie,
what are you doing?
Hey,
he did a good deed tonight, Robbie.
Hey,
what is that? What is that about? Why would you do that? That's ridiculous.
Hey, he did a good. Come on, giving the family tickets to your next fight.
That's awful. That's awful.
All right. All right.
Just flat out awful.
Okay, cool. Anyway.
All right. So that's pretty much it for this week's edition of Ringside Reporter. Robbie, you have anything to say before we leave?
Everybody call Ringside Robbie's Boxing Corner and listen to all
We'll give all that out. We'll give all that
out.
Okay. Anything about the fights and everything like that.
Oh, no, last night's fight card was good. I'm glad I spent the money. I'm not disappointed. I'll be very interesting to see how many pay-per-view buys they actually got yesterday. So, and good show, and looking forward to doing it again next week.
All right. What do you think? All right, you brought up a good point. We didn't even talk about that. How many pay-per-view buys does this do?
Well, I said before on last week's show between 800 and 850, and of course you didn't agree with that. And Joe said over 900. You said how many?
600,000.
Yeah, and Joe said over 900. So do you still hold to that?
There wasn't a lot of buzz for this fight. I'm going to say this does 650,000.
Okay. And Eric,
look! I said 600,000. You just overbid me, man. What are you doing?
I can never agree. This is the price is right. I want to win.
Oh, that's cold-blooded, man. Look at Joe. Just came right in over the top.
Right
over the
top. I say between 8 and 850. That's what I say.
That's all right, Robbie. We'll see. We'll see.
All right.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Any last thoughts?
Well, the thing is this. A lot of people are upset with Canelo right now. They're saying that he bullied a blown-up 147-pounder. But I think Canelo won this fight with his brains, not his brawn. So I'm prepared to give him full credit. He beat Amir Khan fair and square. Amir Khan, brave warrior, did what a lot of fighters would not do. And he hung in there for about 4 or 5 rounds. He looked like he belonged in there. And we got to give him credit for that. But all in all, I enjoyed all the fights this week, and I'm just looking forward to a really good summer schedule in boxing. And I hope all these big fights do come to fruition. And I'm just going to be optimistic from here on out about the sport of boxing.
I think so. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 773-572-7781 and listen to all the podcasts and fights. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at JHabib1, his YouTube channel, Beating the Odds with Beeb. You got to check that out. I'm at Ringside 73, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Ringside Reporter Podcast. Check us out on the web at www.ringsidereporter.com, on Twitter at Ringside73, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Ringside73. Subscribe to us on iTunes.
A Napa guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is zero, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 400,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. She may not be pretty, but she's all yours. That's Napa know-how.